Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Have you ever actually paused to think about how exactly that perfectly fresh produce or, that highly sensitive electronic device makes it all the way to your doorstep? And doing it without spoiling, breaking, or just getting completely lost in transit? Well, today we're unpacking the invisible technology that is literally transforming the way the world moves goods. It's this incredibly fascinating look at the intersection of heavy, old school industry and cutting edge digital tech. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with supply chains under pressure, move into the digital nervous system, check out Maersk's smart maritime logistics, then see how SigFox is turning waste into fuel, and finally, we'll wrap up with driving the circular economy. Let's get to it. First up, Section 1, Supply Chains Under Pressure and the Massive Challenge of Tracking Moving Parts. Now, try to imagine global logistics for a second. Historically, it's been like this giant blindfolded body. For decades, once a shipping container left a port, it was essentially a black box until it showed up at its destination. So, I want you to ask yourself, how exactly do you monitor hundreds of thousands of individual assets all at the exact same time? And we aren't just talking about regular boxes here. We're talking about 300,000 refrigerated containers holding super sensitive cargo. If you lined all of those up end to end, they'd stretch for hundreds of miles. Just one single failure along that line, boom, you've got massive financial and physical waste. And to really put that crazy scale into perspective, Maersk, which is one of the world's most complex supply chains, operates across 343 ports in 121 different countries. That's practically the entire globe. Relying on manual checks and disconnected data across that kind of chaotic spread, yeah, that's practically impossible if you want true efficiency. The pressure to innovate here is just immense. Which brings us to Section 2, the digital nervous system. Enter Cyber Physical Systems, or CPS, and the Internet of Things, IoT. Now, that sounds super technical, right? But the crucial point here is actually pretty simple. We are giving these dead, metal physical assets an invisible digital nervous system. By slapping tiny, networked connected devices and sensors onto shipping containers, we actively link the physical world to the digital one. For the very first time, these metal boxes can actually feel their environment, react to changes, and beam out real-time data so operators can optimize the whole journey. Just look at the amazing variety of sensors we're using now. It's wild. We've got tiny tech for tracking temperature, sniffing out leaks, monitoring motion and velocity, and even sensing chemical changes or vibrations. This is that continuous sensory input feeding the digital brain of modern supply chains. It's what allows for predictive, preventive, and prescriptive maintenance. Okay, let's look at a real-world example in Section 3, Maersk's Smart Maritime Logistics. It is literally night and day when you look at the old way versus the new way. We're completely moving away from those vulnerable, blind supply chains that relied on manual checks. Maersk actually partnered with Ericsson to deploy real-time satellite fleet monitoring. So suddenly, we go from totally disconnected assets to continuous, actionable cargo care and some seriously powerful predictive analytics. So how does this actually play out step by step? Well, first, those IoT sensors we just talked about are attached directly to Maersk's 300,000 refrigerated containers. Second, that data dynamically flows up through Ericsson's satellite networks. Third, cloud computing and AI step in to crunch the numbers and analyze the cargo's condition. And fourth, this is the massive payoff, Maersk not only creates a way safer environment for port staff, but they dramatically cut down on wasted energy, reduce their emissions, and optimize travel times across the ocean. It is an absolute game changer. Moving right along to Section 4, let's pivot to something completely different, turning waste into fuel with SigFox. Now we're zooming all the way down into the messy, honestly pretty unglamorous grease traps of local French restaurants. We're looking at how IoT sensors optimize biowaste collection. So there's this company called Allo à l'Huile. They are part of the ReFood division of Saria, and they partnered with SigFox to specialize in collecting used cooking oil. And they seamlessly manage this for more than 25,000 restaurants across France. Following this bio-waste cycle is fascinating. They aren't just blindly driving trucks around hoping a grease trap is full. That'd be a huge waste of fuel. Instead, using smart logistics, they intelligently schedule collections from those 25,000 restaurants. The oil gets routed to 19 collection centers and 2 specialized treatment plants, where it is transformed directly into valuable B7 biodiesel fuel. They are literally turning gross, useless waste into sustainable energy. And the environmental payoff here, it's just staggering. By relying on smart tech to optimize their routes, and by actually creating biofuel instead of letting waste rot, they achieve a massive 87% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. 87%. That is not some tiny incremental change, that's a revolutionary leap for sustainability. But hey, it's not just about saving the planet, right? What's super interesting is how these connected systems heavily impact the bottom line. Because they know exactly when and where to send trucks using SigFox's tech, clients are seeing a 30% drop in operational expenditures and a massive 50% drop in capital expenditures. When you optimize the flow of your resources, you save a truly incredible amount of money. Finally, let's wrap things up with Section 5, Driving the Circular Economy. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Really, it's all about how the digital and physical worlds are meshing together to build a truly sustainable circular economy. By leaning into IoT and cyber-physical systems, we're creating these dynamic feedback loops, and that translates directly into reduced waste, real-time predictive maintenance, way less system downtime, drastically lower energy consumption, and perfect right-in-time inventory management. It is a total win for both the environment and the economy. We are simply no longer living in a world of disconnected, static supply chains. We've successfully woven this brilliant digital layer right over the physical world. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder. As this technology keeps evolving, how will this invisible nervous system shape the future of the everyday goods arriving at your doorstep next year or, say, in 10 years? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you next time.